That video was was having some fun with machismo. Machismo is actually fear expressed as pseudo courage. True courage is the ability to open your perception while staying grounded. We hold the space of strength. It takes courage to abide in a world with chaos. It takes courage to watch the news without reaction. It takes courage to choose not to watch the news or be pulled into the gravity of limbic polarity. It takes courage to stay solid with right action. It takes courage to convey genuine hope and the power of love. I'm going to share a series of jokes commenting on how each takes courage. So, a patient is going in for surgery and says to the doctor, "Oh, doctor, I'm just so nervous. This is my first operation." The doctor replies, "Don't worry, it's mine too." What might make this joke funny is that it is common to feel anxiety over surgery. It takes courage to submit your body to the process. It may take even more courage to assume the seat of primary responsibility. It may seem easier to go along with an authority than to fully research the surgery and make an independent and informed choice. This doesn't just apply to surgery. It applies anytime an authority is directing your response. It's best to own your choices with discernment rather than to project responsibility onto an authority figure, even when there is uncertainty. When facing difficult choices, it is wise to draw on the great courage of our heart. We all have hidden and obvious inner strength and ways to access that strength when we remember. More on this later. Next joke. A son asks his father, "Where does the wind come from?" His father answers, "I don't know." Then the son asks, "Why is the earth round?" His father answers, "I don't know." The son asks, "Father, does it bother you that I ask so many questions?" His father answers, "No, not at all. Please ask. How else will you learn things?" It takes courage to ask difficult questions, and it takes courage to admit that we don't know the answer. It would take even more courage to begin an inquiry with difficult questions that just might lead to a broader and more clear view. Last joke. One fine day, Captain Smith and his crew of sailors were sailing home after a long voyage. Suddenly, on the horizon, there loomed a ship with a skull and crossbones raised on the mast. The crew was frantic, seeking refuge and asking the captain what to do. The captain looked at the approaching ship for a moment and said, "Bring me my red shirt." The call was taken up at once by a cabin boy. As soon as Captain Smith had the shirt in his possession, he ordered the man at the wheel to head straight for the pirate ship. In the ensuing fight, the pirate ship was repelled without casualties. The sailors celebrated their fortune. The first mate asked Captain Smith why he had asked for his red shirt before the battle. He responded, "If I was wounded, the blood does not show and the crew will not lose confidence." The crew was inspired by his bravery. About a week later, there loomed on the horizon 10 ships of the enemy's armada. Once again, the crew looked to its captain for leadership. Calmly, Captain Smith said, "Mate, bring me my yellow pants." The captain knows they are in for trouble, and all he can do is his best, standing tall while staring death in the face, and also knowing he is human. And we really can't know how a situation will play out until it does. As Yogi Berra said, it ain't over till it's over. Maybe a storm will intervene, or a fleet of friendly ships, or maybe this is their last battle on Earth. Carlos Castaneda wrote, "A spiritual warrior must let each and every act be their last battle on Earth. Only under those conditions will his or her acts have their rightful power." He writes that when death becomes a teacher, we have no use for habitual worry or petty behavior. We can rally our resources for what the moment requires. When death becomes a teacher, we're more likely to show up and give it our best. Speaking of death, the philosopher Nietzsche wrote, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." Maybe, but to me, it sounds like the philosophy of a young man who wants to prove himself. Youth sometimes thinks it is immortal, and many adventures begin with the attitude, "Is there anything dangerous to do around here? Sign me up." That's youth testing itself through adventure or thrill seeking. Thrill seeking is more of a dopamine high than courage. True courage comes over time as we mature and are willing to face our limitations and difficulties, as well as the challenges of our time, with a fierce compassion that holds you in tenderness and courage at the same time. Our great heroes, such as Gandhi and Martin Luther King, were not thrill-seeking as they stood firm in enemy territory. They had a fierce compassion that did not judge the ignorance oppressing them. Jesus said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." That takes courage. Forgiveness does not mean passivity, but may require that we become fierce with our inner and outer boundaries. Being fierce with our inner boundaries means that we do not allow someone's negativity into our thoughts, feelings, or actions. Jesus also said, "Love thy neighbor as thyself." Mature human beings embrace the truth that all men and women and animals are interconnected. It takes courage to stand strong with the high truth of diversity and equality. We are all brothers and sisters after all. And it takes courage to be tender with ourselves, to love ourselves as an echo of the divine, a spark of creation that has a right to be. Spiritual or humanistic growth takes courage because we are likely to encounter setbacks or unforeseen challenges. We don't always get to choose our challenges. They can arrive without invitation. It could be grief, loss of livelihood, illness, loneliness, difficult people or situations, confusion, or a convergence of trouble that challenges our faith or tempts us with fear. Yet in these very difficulties, we can persevere through growth and maturation, learning how to show up. As the saying goes, one person with courage is a majority. It takes courage to examine or perceive uncomfortable reality, the what is. It takes courage to live the examined life because what we discover about ourselves may feel uncomfortable. It takes courage to stand up to the patriarchy and to oppressive authority. It takes courage to shine with the heart of your best self, to not allow yourself to be disparaged, ill-treated, or disrespected. Courage is an inner strength that we can cultivate or draw on from our field of resources, from our own strong and nurtured intentions and integrity that is connected with loving community and in resonance with mystery. We generally have a felt sense of what it means to dip into our personal resources and conjure courage. The more often we do so with success, the more trust we will have in the process. Perhaps the source of bravery seems mysterious. Most of us have at least some idea of what it means to draw on a wide range of resources: family, friends, pets, nature, poets, heroes, transpersonal forces, spiritual allies, and even working with energy itself. I'd like to describe two types of courage, which I also refer to as sacred yin and sacred yang. Sacred yin and sacred yang are both valid pathways, depending on circumstances and personal predilection. Courage, like water, is yin energy. Water is flexible and yielding by flowing wherever it can go. Water is soft and yet can erode the hardest rock over time. Water is giving. Part of its purpose is to nourish all life. Water is both formless and adaptable. Water flows around obstacles and gathers into streams and rivers. Water knows how to flow like a stream, and it also knows how to gather in stillness like a lake, reflecting the vastness of sky. Water is fluid, and yet always finds its way through diverse circumstance and humbling terrain. Going with the flow is a waterway of being. Water gathers strength as it flows towards larger and larger amounts of water, ultimately to the ocean, which is vast. Courage, like a mountain, is yang energy. A mountain is large and intractable. The mountain has claimed its place to be and will not be moved. A mountain is persistent, clear, and demonstrative of its right to hold space on our sacred earth. A mountain has grown out of the earth, is part of the earth with a solid foundation. It knows its place and claims firm its right to be. Its sense of being cannot be shaken. It is solid and will not give way to passing wind or changing weather. The weather may throw snow or hail, and it does not matter to the solidity of a mountain. A mountain stands its ground, hides from no one, and bridges earth and sky. When mountains stand together, they become a mountain range, rising up from the earth like a wall of boundaries. We can use water and mountain as poetic images of power, but they are also part of the energies of life, and as such can guide us toward embodying a felt sense of useful strategies for navigating situations and difficulties. Courage like water is fluid. Courage like a mountain is steadfast. And please take heart in the ordinary. The poet Walt Whitman was a champion of the ordinary. He wrote, "I believe a leaf of grass is no less than the journey work of the stars, and a mouse is miracle enough to stagger sextillions of infidels. And I could come every afternoon of my life to look at the farmer's girl boiling her iron tea kettle and baking shortcake." Whitman is singing praise for the ordinary, for the wonder of life as it is. Here in the vastness of the universe, on this pale blue dot in space, we are making a stand for life as we know it, for life as it could be lived when we do not fall in with fear. It takes a flavor of bravery to live with our vulnerability and imperfections and still show up when and where we are truly meant to be. It takes a flavor of bravery to live the examined life, even when it seems a little messy, and be prepared to learn. Gradual maturation means growing up and being wherever your life would place you means that we show up. Fierce compassion suggests that we show up with a strong back and an open heart. I'd like to end with a poem that has both honesty and heart. Living well, or even not so well, takes courage. For me, this poem is ordinary and not ordinary at the same time. The poem is titled "The Facts of Life." That you were born and you will die. That you will sometimes love enough and sometimes not. That you will lie, if only to yourself. That you will get tired. That you will learn most from the situations you did not choose. That there will be some things that move you more than you can say. That you will live, that you will be loved. That you will avoid questions most urgently in need of your attention. That you began as the fusion of a sperm and an egg of two people who were once strangers and may well still be. That life isn't fair. That life is sometimes good and sometimes better than good. That life can be not so good. That life is real. And if you can survive it well with love and art and meaning given where meaning is scarce. that you will learn to live with regret, that you will learn to live with respect, that the structures that constrict you may not be permanently constraining, that you will probably be okay, that you must accept change before you die, but you will die anyway. So you might as well live and you might as well love. You might as well love. You might as well love. Thank you for your fearless attention.